Okay, we will call this February 13th council meeting to order, and I would like to acknowledge that we are having this meeting on the unceded lands of the Mi'kmaq. Let's stand for the singing of O Canada.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Okay, record of attendance, everyone's here. Okay, declarations of conflict of interest, anyone right now? If you get to an agenda item and you wish to declare, you can do that at that time. Approval of agenda, can I have that motion, please? Okay, Councillor Lesser and Councillor Bechara-Lacroix. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, approval of minutes. Town Council, January the 9th, please. Okay, Councillor Hatfield, second by the Deputy Mayor. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Thank you. Committee of the Whole, January 23, please. Councillor Hatfield, second by Councillor Cleveland. Any discussion on this one? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. And we had a special town council on January 23rd, please. Deputy Mayor, Councillor Bechara-Lacroix. Discussion? Good, okay. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Thank you. So this evening we have we have a public hearing for 3 agenda items. Now, there's no one here yet. Did we get anything via, we have one on 9C, which we have on the agenda. That was an email sent. There was nothing else? Okay. So we go through the whole process regardless?
There's a process. You might maybe call for comments on all 3 things at once.
Okay. Is everyone okay to do that? We'll go
Yes.
A, B, and C if there were folks in the audience. I understand nobody wants to travel tonight and come out in this weather. So multiple properties, 1 Jenkins Street and 25 Willow Street are on for a public hearing. Anybody want to speak to that? This seems kind of weird. No one here. Okay. So we're going to move these on to the business arising, and it's the same thing. So let's go one at a time here. 10A, multiple properties development agreement. The recommended motion there is that council pass second reading to the proposed development agreement, attachment 1, to allow for a total of 6 short-term rentals on the subject land. We're looking for that motion. Councillor Cleveland, seconded by Councillor Hatfield. Go ahead.
Thank you. I just would like to mention for everybody and for the general public as well, all of these are motions to allow short-term rentals within the lands. And I wanted to point out the fact that just for everyone's knowledge that they're already been being used in that way anyway. We're just running through the processes in order to enable these to have happen because, of course, of the change within provincial legislation and ours to line it all up. So that's the reason why we're going through these processes.
Absolutely. Thank you. Go ahead, Deputy.
And I also noticed, I'm not sure if it's in this report, but one of them, it says, including these and all the short-term rentals, it's less than 2% of our total rental stock for the town itself. So, and you'll notice there's a note on every one of these that says that within the development agreement, this also comes into mind when they approve this to come up to council. So there is the forethought that it's important to have long-term rentals as well. But as Councillor Cleveland just said, this is just getting in line with provincial mandate. And once again, less than 2% of our total rental stock is short-term rentals.
Which basically means it doesn't affect our housing. So that's a really good point. Okay, so we've got this one on here. Are there any further comments before I go to a vote? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Aye, contrary? Motion carried. 10B, we have 1 Jenkins Street Development Agreement. The council passed second reading to the proposed development agreement, attachment 1, to allow for a total of 5 short-term rentals at 1 Jenkins Street, PID 90195066. Okay, Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Cleveland. Discussion on this one. And the same holds true for all 3 of these. These have been through the process and they've already been run this way. Okay, discussion? No? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. And 25 Willow, that council passed second reading to the proposed development agreement attachment 1 to allow for a total of 2 short-term rentals at 25 Willow Street, PID 9020781. Okay, moved. Second by Councillor Dayers. Discussion on this one, and we do have, just so we're aware when we go through the public process, that there is a note there with regard to this one. So we've all taken this into consideration. Any comments on this one? Discussion? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, new business. So we have YASTA funding, the request. So that recommended motion is that council grant $15,667 to support hosting Nova Scotia Music Week happening October 2025. What's that? Oh.
No, it's 25.
Yeah. That's right. So, are you making that motion, Councilor?
I am.
Okay, Deputy seconded, okay, and the discussion. Go ahead, Councilor Cleveland.
Well, as you know, Nova Scotia Music Week has been here a few times. It always brings in a lot of people. It's very helpful to our tourist industry and is a wonderful event. And Yarmouth is so good at putting these things on. It's a matter of pride within the region. It's very, very exciting that it's coming back again. It was just here a couple of years back, and I'll be supporting this enthusiastically. I'd also like to point out that this grant has been split between the 3 municipalities. It's 15,667 for all of us, but it's been split between the 3 municipalities and MPLAC, the hotel marketing levy. And the levy has already approved this, as well as, I believe, our counterparts at Modi.
Good. They love Main Street. They love that they can hold everything in one spot and people can walk from one venue to another, and you don't get that in very many places.
Yeah, it's
So,
a wondrous spot, and
yeah.
it's shoulder season. It's very exciting to see these kind of things,
really
bringing people in other than the summertime. And you know,
Exactly.
everybody knows that within autumn is probably the most beautiful place to be here in the region anyway. So it's a great opportunity for us to show ourselves off.
Yes, absolutely. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Thank you. Yarmouth Hospital Careathon, that council donate $1,000 to the Yarmouth Hospital Careathon. Okay, Deputy Mayor. Moved, second by Councillor Boucher-Lacroix. discussion on this one? This is one of those that gets added. I put it on because they just contacted us. And it is happening that first week of March. And I usually go visit them, go on the radio and, maybe do a shout out and kind of challenge each municipal unit to put some money in. So it's kind of a fun thing, when you challenge each other. So I'll do that. I just wanted to be able to make sure we're bringing a check for something this important. Okay, anything else on this one? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. And 10C, the recommended motion there, or 11C, that council upgrade the audio video in the council chambers at an estimated cost of $57,861.67. That's inclusive of HST. Well, it's a good thing. Okay. Want to make a motion? Thank you. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Lesser? Go ahead.
Looking over this, it seems like it's a one-time fix. And I can't wait to have it happen because the acoustics in this room have not been all that good. And it's unfair to the people that are presenting. And I think it's about time we fixed it up. So great news that we're doing it.
Yep. Councillor Bell? Hatfield?
I couldn't agree more. It really has, I mean, the town hall is a wonderful space, but it is not acoustically friendly, for sure. So I am assuming that this is expected to be a fix that will provide amplitude enough that people in the audience are going to be able to hear and be heard.
Well, let me speak to that.
If we can hear you, that's the test.
Yeah, okay, so we will be, so the company that we use for our IT service are managing this project. They've worked closely with our communications coordinator. They did work at the Truro Council chambers that had similar challenges. So I guess some of the things that we've been told is we'll be able to raise the volume because the microphones they'll be designed in such a way that they don't give feedback as readily as these seem to. That's a limiting factor right now for turning up the volume in the room is it starts to create feedback.
Yeah.
The microphones, so they'll be better quality. We will have, we're ordering with this there'll be 6 speakers in the room. And of course your set will have a speaker as well. That will provide for better sound. We do have within the order a provision for basically a headset, a portable headset. So if somebody came to the chambers that really had a difficulty, they could borrow that and use it. And if we find that's a popular thing that people are, more than one person showing up needing it, we can always add on.
Great.
So better quality microphones. We'll get rid of the podium. We'll get rid of all these wires. This is what kind of drove it, is that through COVID, Mike did a fantastic job of cobbling together the technology to allow us to do hybrid meetings, and we see, and you've probably seen it, well, we saw it at a committee of the whole meeting, I believe, or planning meeting. When Dr. Siam showed up with his presentation, we had a problem with cords, so we're pulling cords out and plugging them in, and it kind of makes it a bad situation the next time we come in for a meeting. You see there's a cord there that's not plugged into something tonight. So it'll get rid of all that mess. It'll be new gear, and it'll be one time, and that should be good for 10, 15 years. We've gone through a couple of iterations with sound equipment since the building was opened, but that was back in, 1992, something. So these things do have a shelf life. It's time for a refresh, and we're excited about getting it done. It is in the capital budget, so.
That was my next question, is in the capital budget for next year?
Nope,
It's in this year's budget.
already been approved.
Good,
So we just
perfect.
need approval on the tender.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Good. Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. You're welcome. Okay, so reports, we got Committee of the Whole. Go ahead, Deputy.
I recommend a motion that council refer the request of a crosswalk installation at the golf course to the traffic authority.
Okay, seconded. Any discussion on this one? I have a question. What if we really, really want it, but traffic says no?
So traffic authority, what I tell him, advice I give him, I don't tell him what to do, of course, but I give him advice and I say, when a request comes, there aren't many that you couldn't do under certain circumstances. So some of the mid-block crosswalks we have, like on Parade Street, you can do them, but you put the proper signals, controls in place so that a driver doesn't miss it, can't miss it. Stars Road, we put up a full stoplight to allow people to get across Stars Road, mid-block. So I would suggest that if he looks at this, there's a way to put a safe crosswalk there, but it might just not be paint on the road and a couple of signs. It may require more than that. What I think is extra challenging here on this one, and I'm only anticipating, this isn't going to be for me to figure out, is that functionally, I think what they would actually want is 2 crosswalks. And that's a challenge that close together, right? So if they can figure that out with the golf course on how they would limit where golfers would be able to cross the road to where the crosswalk actually is, then it might be worth considering. So I think that's a little additional bit of work on this one, is not just can you put a crosswalk there and what would make it safe in terms of signaling and lighting, but how do you get people who are there for a very specific activity and traditionally cross at 2 different locations, how do you get them to bring that activity to a single location, change the behavior?
We've got that hill there too, so I just didn't know the process solidly. That was the, go ahead.
Do we have any idea how many golfers have been struck?
No, probably none.
And you mentioned the hill, and I'm kind of thinking about
Yeah.
3 cars coming over the hill and stopping, and then the 4th car coming over the hill and rear-ending the car in front of it. Yeah, so sometimes they're not the answer. They don't solve the problem, they create one.
Oh, and I agree. And my question was around, like process, not just.
Yep.
You're right. I don't disagree. Okay, anything else? All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Contrary? Motion carried.
Recommend a motion that council pass first reading to amend section 7.0D of the solid waste resource bylaw.
Okay. Seconded. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Contrary? Motion carried.
Recommend a motion that council support in principle the placement of a purple bench in 1 or more parks in town.
Seconded. Discussion? Can we, I know Councillor Dares, you're going to play a part in this. We'll maybe have that conversation so that we can figure out, it'd be kind of cool to have benches in one spot too, especially here in Frost Park, which is high visibility and, a really, to me, a sacred place. So
There would be, there's already a monument that's been placed in the park years ago by the labor union or something, in deference to the Department of Violence. The idea of the bench is that, and just to give the public, I guess, a little bit of an insight into it, Barb was a lady who was murdered by her husband years ago, but during the relationship, she used to escape to the park and sit on a bench when she needed quiet time and solace. And after her death, her 5 children, decided to put a permanent bench in the park in her honor. The beauty of these benches is that they also contain a plaque with information that provides contacts for support. And this project is not just for Yarmouth, it's happening across Nova Scotia. And Ina Camo from the Bank of Montreal. It's a project that she's undertaken on her own. I think it was probably not because she was a good friend of Nicole's, but because she knew her. And that sort of made her think that somebody's got to do something. And I've already engaged Juniper House. They'll be involved. We've talked to the people across the street, the courthouse where Nicole worked, and I think they're happy to be involved as well. And so there'll be, hopefully this will be a dedication that'll take place sometime in the month of June. And Ina's going to begin fundraising immediately to try to, the benches, I think, installation, I've talked to Todd with Parks, and he's indicated that they can install a concrete pad that would be paid for through fundraising, and that it'll be placed down there. And he also agrees that these benches are a great, like we have the one that was the Pride bench that, for example, that was installed at one point, and the one that was installed by the First Nations. It's a really good idea. It gives a person a place to sit and reflect. So anyway.
I love that it gives them a place to sit and reflect, and I love that that it teaches people as well.
Yep.
So when they see it, you have to think, and I always think of the kids when they kind of come through the park, and they say, "What? Look at those with all the colors!" Like, or what does that mean? And it's a learning thing. So right now, we've got the Pride one, the African Nova Scotia one. We've got First Nations, and we've also got mental health bench that was donated by the Mental Health Association, and then Barb's bench would be, I think it would be perfect, the Veterans bench, exactly. So, yeah, it's really important. Anything else, anyone? Go ahead, Councillor Cleveland.
Slightly odd, off topic, not quite off topic, but sort of off topic. Thing that I wanted to mention about this, something that's been in the back of my head for a little while. As the benches, and I love the fact that the benches are coming and that there's going to be more and more of them, but as the benches get settled in, especially within Frost Park, I've always kind of had a dream to see some benches facing the gazebo for more outdoor, to encourage more outdoor performing within the gazebo and have people be able to sit and watch it from there. Back in the day, many years ago now, because it has been a while, but maybe we can get that started again if I get a chance this summer. But we used to do Tuesdays in the park, and it was fairly difficult. We'd play at the gazebo, or different bands and different musicians would play at the gazebo voluntarily, of their own accord, free, but there was never anywhere really for them to sit. Sometimes people would bring their own, portable chairs to sit in, but it would be nice to see that kind of a setup at some point. Just throwing that out there and putting it as a seed in the back of some people's minds.
See that at a committee of the whole.
I will.
They're benches, right?
Exactly.
And
Yep.
yeah. Thank you for that. Anything else, anyone? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried.
Recommend a motion that council adopt the use of town resources during an election policy.
Okay. So moved, seconded. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh,
Aye.
sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. Reading through this policy provided me with an opportunity for some learning and some reflection. During the last election cycle, I inadvertently created a lot of conflict, I think, because in an effort to break tension at a meeting with the returning officer, I happened to have my campaign literature there, and I made a joke about, I know that we have voters here. Everybody here is a voter. Want to join my team? And through reading this policy, I was able to reflect on how inappropriate that was, that this should be a place that is free from, and so I guess it's an opportunity to offer my apologies tonight for inadvertently creating tension when it was not intended. Thank you.
Thank you. We don't think of, how somebody else may look at it. So I think this one too was, say two, first and foremost, I think was based on using a building that was, you know, owned by us and little things like that, you know, town property and all those pieces, like it's not a, whatever. Okay. Moved and seconded. We good? All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, did somebody? Oh, no, he's good. He's doing all the, yeah, the committee. That's okay. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried.
Recommend a motion that council refer the establishment of a senior safety coordinator to budget.
Okay, moved. Seconded. Discussion on this one? Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just for the CAO, when we say refer to budget, I'm assuming that that reference comes with an intention that council supports the motion and it's staff's responsibility to prioritize that. Yeah. And so, and this is being referred for next year's budget, and it's about $100,000. And once the position is established, that will be ongoing. So over the next 10 years, about $1 million in costs with this project. And I think that in principle, it's a terrific idea to support seniors and everybody, frankly, in any way that we can. But I also am very keenly aware of the budgetary constraints that we work within. And I just, I have not yet been convinced that this is going to be value for the service that is offered. I guess what I'm asking is, we have a county of about 24,000 people. Of that, about 6,000 are seniors over 65. In the town of Yarmouth, I think there's about 1,800 seniors over 65, about 1,100 women over 65. I had the good fortune, because I am coming to this position as someone who's retired, to be able to take advantage of the professional development opportunities that participating in NSFM conferences gives me. And so in the fall, I had the opportunity to spend quite a bit of time speaking with the executive director of the 211 program, which operates throughout the province. And they provide 24/7 at the fingertips with the phone access to over 51 senior-related programs, let alone all of the other things that they do. So I was really trying to kind of wrap my head around, okay, so we have 211. We're in the town. There are 2 coordinators that have been hired by the municipalities in the county. So we're going to add another. So that's 3 positions for 24,000 people, 5,000 of whom or 6,000 of whom are seniors. And I'm just wondering, are there opportunities for rationalization of this program so that instead of having, I mean, where are the boundaries? Like, I think that this came up when we were candidates in the last election from 2 of the ladies that are involved in the program in the county, and they brought up that they're getting phone calls from people in town. And so I called 211 today because I've never called. Has anybody on council ever called 211? Anyone? Anyone?
Never had to.
Okay, so I
directed people
called
to it.
211 today, primarily because I have an acquaintance that has just gone through a financial fraud, and she's too embarrassed to do anything about it. And I wanted to know what were her options. So I called 211, and I got a lovely person within 30 seconds, and she was able to direct me to Canadian Anti-Theft Protection Association and also to a 211 navigator here in Yarmouth whose name is Ashley. So they don't look at boundaries. They're not looking at the boundaries. And I'm wondering if it's possible for us to think about partnering with our sister units to provide perhaps a level of service that's appropriate that might save taxpayers in the town a little bit of money. Because if every person that is over 65 in the town uses the service next year, I think it's a cost of about $45 or $50 a person. If 50%, you know what I mean? Like, I guess what I'm saying is I'm not convinced that, like, we took off transit services this year. That's 45,000 or so out of the budget. And that primarily impacts seniors, I think, in a really positive way. And that was something we could do that actually physically changed the situation for seniors. So those are the things that I'm thinking about when I'm trying to decide whether or not to support this reference to budget. And I just sort of feel as though if we refer it to budget, then it's going to happen because staff will have been directed that this is what we should do. And I haven't seen the data that convinces me that this is an effective use of $1 million over the next 10 years.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you. I do share some of those concerns, and I think I mentioned earlier on that it would be nice if we could in a partnership with the other two municipal units, because I don't know what the need is in our community right now. And speaking as a senior citizen, there's two in our household that I don't think are going to need the services in the next 10 years. So, and there's probably a lot of seniors out there that don't require the services. I just don't know what the need is yet. And I'm wondering if we can't piggyback or purchase services from the other two municipal units. I mean, a combined thing where we offer them, we purchase services from them until we can truly establish what is the need in our community. Because, as Councillor Hatfield pointed out, it's a lot of money if it doesn't get used frequently. I mean, we don't want it to be used frequently, but it's a lot of money if it does. If it's not being used, then, it's kind of like the Maytag repairman. And I don't say that to be,
no.
glib. I'm just
No.
saying that until we establish exactly what the need is in our community, because we relatively are a small part of this county. And I've referred people to Ashley myself, and they've been looked after. So I'm just wondering if there's an opportunity to partner with the other two municipal units and find out, between the three of us, do we require three separate coordinators? Anyway, I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Okay. Go ahead.
I think it's a good idea to look at what Gil was just saying about partnering, and I mean, any way you can save some money or mold that position to be something that's more efficient or may look different than the counties. Would it be a smart idea to invite the other coordinators in to do a presentation?
Yeah.
Possibly, because they're the ones that get the calls, they're the ones that have to refuse them, they're the ones that know all about the services they provide and who that demographic is that they serve. They also know all the stats on how many seniors are in town. We have, I think, 9 senior homes, something like that. Anyway, they know more about it than I do. I think it would be smart to pull them in maybe and have them present.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with everything that's
Yeah.
been said, and I think the first time, when it was brought up at Committee of the Whole, I think I
Yeah.
mentioned, could we do it part-time? But if we can partner, and it's not for, like Councillor Dares was saying, you're a senior, I'm a senior. No, I'm not, almost. One more year. 55? Oh, well, still, I got one more year.
Now I'm depressed.
But it's for me, it's for a different purpose. Like
It is, yeah.
Even calling 211 is tremendously difficult for some people, and they wouldn't understand. Like so, but that number is it's small, it's even smaller in town than it is anywhere else. So let's, we're going to do, I'm going to encourage a couple of things. So CAO, if we have to take on this one first. Are you good for 1 second? Yeah, we have to take this one on first. And so we would just say no to the refer to budget. Or, go ahead.
So you can go ahead and
Still
refer to
refer.
budget.
Okay,
It-
good.
You know, it has a attachment and,
Yeah.
and, you know, that's fine.
Yeah.
If you want us to investigate other models, like a shared model,
Yeah.
then a motion for staff to reach out and see if the opportunity exists
Yes.
to partner with one or both of the municipalities on the seniors coordinator position, we can do that. You know, if there's a willingness to partner, then I think a presentation, you know, might be something that would benefit council. If there's no opportunity to partner, the presentation would look different, of course.
But it would still be important, I
It
think.
might be, but we would also need the permission of their employers to bring them into council to do that, right?
Okay.
So, first steps first, let's dispense with the motion on the table, and then if you want to direct staff to investigate the potential of a joint service with the other municipalities, make that motion, and we'll see where that goes.
Okay, thank you for that. Go ahead, Councillor Lesser.
Another option maybe as well, and I'm not sure, like, I don't know what every staff member does. And we see the work that gets done, so I'm sure people are probably very busy, but is there an opportunity as well within current staff that something could be picked up as well? I don't know if there's a position, if there was a position being created for something, or one that's, maybe not really full-time, but is full-time, maybe that could be, I guess what I'm saying is, I think we're all trying to figure out how to do this the cheapest or the best bang for our buck, I guess. And is there an opportunity with that or partnering somehow? And I think we want the service, but we're trying to do it keeping in mind the budget, so.
The budget and making sure that, because I can just speak for me, but it's not 100% about the budget. That's for sure. This is important, and I think that's what you're saying too. Like it's important. We just want to make it fit the town of Yarmouth. That's what we want it. We want it to fit the town in the best way possible. So, thank you for that, and I'll bet you he heard that, didn't you? Yeah. Okay, you're on, Councillor Cleveland. They'll go right in order.
Okay, thank you. I agree with everything that's been said, I really do. At the same time, I hesitate about knocking down the refer to budget bit, because it's still going to cost us, whatever this looks like, it's probably going to cost us money in some way, shape, or form.
So we're going to we can okay the budget.
Yes, that's the one thing that bothers me about this. Referring it to budget doesn't mean we're committing to $100,000 or committing to anything other than referring it to budget. And I think it would be a mistake to do this, have a conversation, decide we do have some kind of a model, whatever it might be. It's going to cost us money, and then go back and refer to budget again.
So I just want to be clear, that was my mistake. I thought we shouldn't refer to budget, but the CAO is saying, let's make sure that the money's
Yep.
there. So you're right, and I agree with that. That was
Okay.
just my I misspoke on that one.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So, sorry, Bill.
You good? Did you want to reply to that one?
No, I was just going to clarify. If you refer to budget, that sort of directs it towards the Director of Finance's desk. In the meantime, if there's other work we're doing to see if there's efficiencies, the budget number may change, right? Based on the circumstance or what we're able to figure out.
So let me say this. Can you imagine if we put $100,000 towards this, and at the last minute we told Jerry we only need 50? We'd have to bring in a cake, because he's always pinching. We pinch. Go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted, I know I've mentioned this before, but I'm very cognizant of the community liaison position that we have with the RCMP. And we have to be cognizant that that's a big part of that position is doing the senior safety work. In the town of Yarmouth, because of our contract, you don't have to be a victim in order to access the community liaison officer through the RCMP. And I think that it's a wasted opportunity if we are not using our police advisory committee to direct some of that interest. I know that we're big on youth and getting into the schools, but there is also room in that position for that individual, if we ever get it filled again, to do some of that work. And I did find it interesting today that when I called 211, they did not refer me to the Yarmouth RCMP detachment for a fraud question. So I did find that interesting. And I don't know why that is, but yeah. Anyway, thank you.
You're welcome. Go ahead.
I sit on the Police Advisory Council. I've been to one whole meeting. So I don't have a lot. I don't have a lot of background, but I know when we spoke about the seniors safety coordinator being a strong possibility, they were quite relieved because they don't have the manpower, or I should say the human resources, to be able to accommodate that position in how it was just presented. So I'm not sure that they would agree with that in reality, from the information that I got from that meeting.
They're having a time. Okay. Anyone else? All right. So we're looking for the motion to direct staff to look into possible partnerships with the neighboring units with. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. Any more questions on the budget? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Okay, motion carried. So the next motion that somebody needs to make is direct staff to look into partnering with neighboring units on the senior safety position. Is that enough information? Okay. Okay, Councillor Boucher-Lacroix, seconded by?
I'll second it.
Councillor, whoops, I saw a hand, Dares. Discussion on this one? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Now to Councillor Boucher-Lacroix's point around having them in, can we, or should we do that? Should we do that now? I mean, I personally think it's of value just so we know what we're looking at. We don't know. We need to know. We need to hear, like, this is what we do. These are the concerns. Okay, so it would be to direct staff to reach out to our neighboring municipalities with regard to us inviting senior safety officers to present to council. We would like to know, I want to know, what does it look like? I really don't want to sit here and say, how busy are you? Or, I mean, we need to know, what does it entail? Are they getting a lot of calls from town? Are they, those types of things? What are you all thinking? Do you want us to, can Lindsay send an email and maybe we can, so.
That brochure,
Yeah. If this, and that's helpful too. So if Lindsay can send an email out to us and we can each weigh in on, what do we want them to present? Because we want to understand what the position is and how it might pertain to here. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think the senior safety coordinators that are there now had done a presentation in Eelbrook just within the last couple of weeks. I may be able to access all that promotional material, and I'll bring it in and give it to the CAO.
Excellent. Yeah, and we can get that maybe scanned and sent out to us, and you've got that. Maybe get that to Lindsay and she'll get it to us. Yeah, sure. Yeah, good. It's on here right now, we're gonna be experts. Woo. Okay. So who wants to make that motion around the presentation? Okay, Councillor Bashir Lacroix, second by the deputy. Discussion on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Thank you.
Recommend a motion that council amend the terms of reference of the ad hoc recreation advisory table to state municipal staff as requested by councilors.
Okay, so moved, second by Councillor Lesser. Discussion on this one? Go ahead, deputy.
We had our first rec meeting of this term, a very positive one last week, I believe it was. And actually, one of the councilors from Modi actually brought up that maybe it would be a smart idea if the respective councils came up with pretty much what this already is. So we were already ahead of the curve to sit down and to be able to talk to our stakeholders and organizations who put on sports and to be able to hear from them. And instead of inviting them to that table itself, it would kind of be like the advisory committees that work, you know, in our other instances at town, and they would let us know, and then it would come up to that table for discussion from there. So it was nice to see that we were kind of already on it and thinking ahead, and that they also seen the value of that as well.
Excellent. Anyone else?
And Mayor Mood was also named chair of our new recreation committee, so.
Doesn't mean the meetings will be short. That's right. Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. What? That would be good.
Recommend a motion that council accept the terms of reference for the ad hoc recreation table with amendments.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Go ahead.
Just to speak to, I guess, the prior thing, we were talking about $100,000 for a senior safety coordinator. We have for a long time put at least 350,000+ into Yarmouth Rec. And I believe some fixing up needs to be done, and that discussion never seemed to come to the table about why we were worried about where we could save money on that kind of service that we rent as well. So I just think if we're going to look through things through that scope, we should be wide open to all things that we put money to and hold them accountable as well to make sure we're getting the best bang for our buck.
Yep. That's a good point, and it's like we do with our policies and bylaws, right? Like you go one at a time and we're looking through them, and you just, sometimes it's a little tweak, sometimes it's a big tweak, but we need to, and we've done a lot of that over the past couple of years. A lot of CAO and I were having a conversation before the meeting and talking about, you know, the changes that have been made. So you're right, we just need to keep on it, and good thing you kept on it.
I'll give it up.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried.
I recommend a motion that council direct staff to seek clarity of emergency response requirements from the province.
Okay, so moved, seconded. Councillor Dares. Discussion on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried.
I recommend a motion that council grant $1,500 to host the AAU15 hockey provincials.
Second.
Who asked for this one? I read this. Did the team count? Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, just a note to say that even though this is outside of the parameters of our normal end dates and start dates for grants, this is one of those ones where they didn't know they were going to be granted this tournament. They didn't know in December or in September. So it's nice because sports tourism is a good thing for this community, especially in the shoulder season. So it's great. Well worth the money.
That's why we save our extra. Yeah. Okay, any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Thank you, Deputy. Okay, Citizen Advisory, Planning Advisory. You're good there, Councillor Cleveland. Communities in Bloom, Councillor Dares, do you want to take that one?
Sure.
Thank you.
The motion would be the council provide $10,000 for the 2025 tree planting program, which will allow for up to 200 trees to be planted in the town of Yarmouth on a cost-sharing basis, and that the request be referred to budget.
Okay, is that moved, seconded? Discussion on this one.
I could offer some information. This program was presented last year. I think it's basically on the same model as Truro. And council did approve $5,000 at that time, but it was too late in the season for them to really get the program up and running. And Todd Parks was afraid that the trees would be, that it wouldn't be a good planting time. So we didn't proceed last year. But this community is losing trees year after year to disease and to storms, and something needs to be done to maintain the urban forest. And if you need to know the benefits of an urban forest, there's a link that I can provide that talks about that very thing. So I think it's high time we did take some action. The program itself you get up to $50 per tree. So if you spend 100 or more, you get a $50 rebate. It does not include any cost for planting, just for the purchase. The maximum number of trees any individual or business could apply for is 10 per year, so that there's lots to go around. And we're really hopeful that citizens will take advantage of it, because we really need to do something. And this is a very affordable way, I think, for the town to end up with 200 new trees within our boundaries.
Okay. Any more discussion on this one? Although,
A few things, actually. Number one, outside of the aesthetic value, I'm sure environmentally that also helps as well to have that many more trees in our area. And I think we'd be remiss if we didn't give a shout out to Todd for the great job that he does with Community in Blooms, our parks, just anything we could do. Just shout out, he's a savior, the banner program that we hear so much about, and so many things. So just thank you to him for the work he does and his crew as well.
That he is a strong advocate for this program, that's for sure.
and he has heard, I mean, hasn't just heard, he's the expert basically here on understanding just how many trees we are
Yeah.
losing.
Speaking of expertise, we will be relying on David Solos, who knows the scientific name of every single plant and animal ever
He does.
placed on Earth, but we'll be relying on him to assist us in selecting the appropriate trees that are indigenous to the province,
Perfect.
or some that are, not invasive. Because there are people that plant trees that they shouldn't. So we'll ensure that happens.
Go ahead, Councillor Batt.
That was just the point that I was going to make, so.
Okay, good. All right, any further discussion?
Only that the mayor, your worship, you identified some grant programs the other day. One of them was called Relief, and it's a federal grant program. I'm wondering if we could engage our new staff member to look into that. And it's along the same lines. It's a better program than we're
Yeah.
suggesting here. But I just thought maybe that should be investigated.
No, go ahead.
I didn't look into that, but maybe the counselor knows. Is there a deadline to apply for that, or is that a continuous intake?
I'm not sure if there's a deadline. I could look that up and I'll get back to you, but it's only just been announced recently, so I'm sure we could get our foot in the door.
Yep, okay, thank you.
And maybe some, you guys will figure it out. I'm just going to say, maybe some help from the committee and, maybe David that's done, then get it done quickly. Okay, any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. And who's EDI? Councillor Lesser, do you want to take that one? Thank you.
Recommended motion is that council adopt the equity and anti-racism plan.
Okay. Moved and seconded. Go ahead, Deputy.
Big shout out to Muriel for her very hard work on this. I know she's been going hard. I've also heard that she did such a good job that the province has also took a look and used her this as an outline to help other people to get them going. I know the CAO has looked this over as well and kind of give its final blessing, and a shout out to Mike for making it look very aesthetically pretty to look at. What I like, it's in easy to read language. It's not anything over kind of set in stone. It allows movement forward, which is, you know, the one and dones are no good when it comes to many things, but especially not EDI. So I just believe it's a great plan that sets a great foundation to where we can go from there, both for counselors, staff, and just anyone that we deal with in general. So shout out to the good work, and very happy to be on that committee and to see this come here.
It actually is, it's so well worded and easy to read, and the graphics. I was talking to Mike the other night. I know there's only one Mike, but it would be nice if, you know, as we go through these policies and procedures, like something along that format is much nicer read than just a bunch of words on a page. The other part of this committee is that it's really like anybody, if you get a chance to go to a meeting, the people in that room are very passionate about what they talk about, and it's a really interesting committee because we have a lot of lived experience. I think I'm the only one in the committee that doesn't really have a lot of lived experience, but it's nice to see the lens that everything is looked through in that. So that's really good.
Excellent. Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Thank you, folks. Okay, so we've got all these reports for information, which if there's any questions on them, you can go to that committee chair, or if the committee chair's here, you can certainly ask. Questions for committee chairs, anyone? Go ahead. Councilor Lesser?
Just on number 2, Remo, and I don't know, it's not really a question as much as, well, it is a question. Do we know anything more about the Nova Scotia Guard? I know it's been advertised a lot, and it seems like when we had the forest fires, a result of that was, let's get the Nova Scotia Guard going. And I think they've had a number of people signed up. And I know right now there's a lot of other things on people's plate provincially, but is there any way that we can get an update on, I know I just looked in the report and there wasn't an update, but is there a way we can get an update as to when that might start in case we do have another bad season or, hurricane or whatever happens to come? Or maybe somebody knows the answer.
So they're standing up the department, staffing it up. I think it's worth asking for an update. I happen to be invited to participate in an advisory group that's helped. Now, we haven't met since before the election, so I don't have an update for you. But I think if council passed a motion to request an update on the establishment of that department and the Nova Scotia Guard, I'm pretty sure there'd be something forthcoming.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Do you want me to make the motion, or did you want to talk, Councillor Dares? Were you going to say? Okay. Yeah, I'll make a motion that we ask staff to look into an update on the Nova Scotia Guard program, and just an update.
Good. Seconded. Okay, discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Absolutely.
So the new department that's being stood up is in recognition of the fact that we're having emergencies in the province. You mentioned the wildfires. There's been hurricanes. There've been massive snowstorms. A number of things that have happened in our province. It happens every year, and the fact is that the province has had it as a part of another department. Well, that's changing. It will be its own department, and that's a very positive step. There are going to be staff in the regions, and there will be resources in the regions. But we have our own work to do at home. We have our own REMO that we need to lean into. I think that's, if we are going to talk about priorities in the very near future, that's something we'll talk about next week in that context. But if there are things that I worry about as CAO, it is our preparedness for the overwhelming emergency. If the wildfire had been in our backyard, I guarantee you we wouldn't have looked better than anyone else that's ever had a wildfire. If we had a heavy snowstorm, an overwhelming snowstorm, we are no more prepared than any other community. And so when you watch TV and you hear communities being criticized for their response and some communication issues, there are some always seem to be at the heart of it. We are no better prepared. I don't believe that we have the ability to say that we're better prepared than other communities. I think we have ways to go, and so that's a flag I'll be raising next week. And that's not to say we aren't making steady improvement. We absolutely are. But if the emergency were tomorrow or were today with a storm, right? If that had turned out differently and we had an overwhelming emergency, we would be scrambling. And you know, so I just want to alert you to that. And it's one of those things that, you know, we don't have permanent staff in this building or employed directly by the town. We have part-time people working for Remo, and that's probably going to have to change, you know, given what's happening with climate and so on.
Good. Okay. Any other questions for committee chairs? Okay, and approval of invoices, please. Moved and seconded. Discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried, and the date of next meeting is March the 13th. Yes.
I'm sure you all saw the news release that came out today that the capital budget for the province, and it does have the Yarmouth Emergency Department finally into the budget, which is nice. It just surprises me sometimes when you look at the comments, and I used to do it myself. You can get very political, and the more political I get, the least political I get, I guess. The more I get involved in this world, you know, it doesn't really matter the party that's running the province or the country, but getting the work done. And this is an interesting one because it was brought by the previous party, and then it came to fruition with the new government. So it's kind of nice to see that actually made its way into the budget. So I didn't look at the whole thing, but I did look for that one. It was there.
Yeah, we're pretty excited about that. I'd be at that budget meeting on Tuesday, or the announcement on Tuesday, but we have Gordon here. I was actually with the finance minister this morning. That's where I was. I just want to say this. It's an off topic, but I'm just going to say this. You know, I think we will all agree with this. This whole parks and recreation and culture piece that we're pulling together, and the importance of it. For a Christmas gift, I got a ticket to this. I can say his name is Teo, and he is a concert pianist. And I sat there 2 nights ago at the museum with 50 seats, 55 seats, and I was completely overwhelmed by it. Here does this. Completely overwhelmed, and my thoughts went to one night you're at a hockey game in a packed arena in the little town of Yarmouth, and the next night you're listening to a world-class concert pianist in another. Like, I say this because we're doing something right, and there has to be something for everybody. So I'm so glad that we're doing that whole culture's rec and park, because it matters. And the comments from folks, they were just so excited that they could do something like this in a little town like this. I said, no, we're just little by size, but we think big, so it's all good. So thank you for that ticket and for being my date. Okay, so a motion to go in camera. Thank you. What's that? Want to do in camera first? All right. Okay.